Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome along to round two, season 2, 2025, as Radical Race Series UK and and Ireland hit your screens once again here on the JP Broadcasting Network. You join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and Jim Cunningham will be your guides across what is America's national park of speed, the famed Road America GP course, 14 turns, just a shade over 4.04 miles, and we are set and ready because we've got the first of two races, 7 laps around this particular circuit, and the lights have gone out already, and we are green and underway. And, well, more to the point, Simon Edwards, who put on pole position, leading the way ahead of Luke Crowley. Jamie Bird briefly gets past Seth Brown for third position, as Phil Glover and Graham Matthew round out our 6 strong competitors. And there you see in your screens at the moment, folks, a lot of running down in towards what will be the famed Moraine sweep in towards turn 5. But Simon Edwards, a multi-time. I think he's nearly made me run out of digits on my fingers and thumbs on both hands as we come down the Moraine sweep through turn 4. Luke Crowley sweeps to the outside of the number 52 on the run into turn number 5, but Simon Edwards keeps it pinned on the racing line. Crowley looking for the counter-offensive through into turn 6, and then we've got this nice little section here, Jim, through the good old hurry downs before we hit the carousel at turns 8 to 10. It's okay, Jim. I'll leave you to troubleshoot behind the scenes. Jamie Bird and Seth Brown embroiled in this battle as we head through into Canada Corner here at the right-hander at turn 12. Seth Brown sticks his nose up the inside of the number 39. Proudly repping the Club 100 club from United Kingdom as, well, the field makes its way through into turn number 14. Very lengthy start-finish stretch here at Road America. You go up the hill as Simon Edwards kicks a little bit of the grassy turf out of the final corner as they go up the hill, and they are going to be hitting speeds of over 170 miles an hour, closer to 175 in the draft as the first lap comes in out of 7. And Crowley has tried to go round the outside of Edwards. Edwards holds his nerve. They're back in the SR10s, as they really do love them here at the Radical Race Series. This is the second week of a 12-week Canada. The Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit was the venue for the season opener. No broadcast last week, but in the battle between Edwards and Crowley, Bird is very vastly closing, but through the Moraine sweep round to the outside goes the number 36 of Luke Crowley, but here comes Jamie Bird trying to look up the inside as well through turn 5. Now Seth Brown makes it 2's company, 3's a crowd, and Simon Edwards through turn 6 has got a little bit of an advantage, but a bit of a wiggle there from the back end of Jamie Bird, and he puts Crowley into the side of him, and Brown just gets out of jail free with that card. That joker there for the number 38. But still, well, this time, Simon Edwards coming out of turn 8, heading into 9 here at the carousel, kicks up the dust. Crowley's going high and wide to the outside at turn 9 to carry the momentum through here at turn 10. We've got a real good old slobber here for second, third and fourth, but Simon Edwards has scarpered away to the distance as they head down through the kink into Cattle Bottoms, and then the run down to Canada Corner. It's a 3-way scrap for second, third and fourth. Brown looking possibly to the inside. Bird dives into the inside and goes deep and runs into the gravel off of Canada Corner. That's Jamie Bird, exit stage left under braking. Crowley's got Brown trying to do the old switcheroo through on turn 8 on him. And now, well, Phil Glover has decided to throw his hand into the ring, and Phil Glover finds himself in P3. An action-packed second lap out of 7 there, Jim. We might have 6 drivers on the field, but boy, are they giving us the fireworks here at Road America. Well, it's still carrying on here on lap number 3. Seth Brown looking to the inside of Luke Crowley here at turn number 5 here on lap 3 out of 7. It's going to be a 7-minute sprint, 7-lap sprint race. And I think it's going to be around about 12, if I remember correctly, for it's going to be, it's getting so close. It's going to be 7 laps for the sprint, 12 for the feature. We will have a full reverse grid. It's normally the top 10 we ride on board on the helmet cam, so to speak, of Seth Brown, still currently running in a strong P3. Luke Crowley now 3.3 seconds behind Simon Edwards, who has been putting on fastest laps like nobody's business. Jamie Bird, however, his rise up to the sharp end of the grid has fallen a bit firmly with egg on its face at the moment. That was Phil Glover, our man in the good old Castrol livery. Phil's the Mr. Happiness when it comes to Radical Race Series. He's always under the guiding arm of Simon Edwards, but he's been leading races. He's been in possible podium situations, and this is probably one of the best opportunities he's got yet so far, Jim, because he's keeping with Seth and he's keeping with Luke at the moment. Yeah, the good old draft, as they call it. Seth Brown now up past Luke Crowley into second position as they go through turn 3. That's to run through the famed Moraine sweep, heading through turns 4 and into 5 under the Sargento Real Cheese People Bridge, one of the usual fixtures here at Road America. Yeah, everyone loves a bit of cheese, don't they? You know, whether it's banter or whether it's food, whether it's wonderful dairy that we can definitely enjoy, especially in a toasted cheese, you know, like a cheese melt or something like that, you know. Well, we call it we don't. It's normally like a cheese melt over in the States, but it's normally like a toasted cheese sandwich is what we'd call it over here in the UK. Grilled cheese, that was it. Yeah. But Seth Brown, got the run on Luke Crowley, just pure slipstream and best place to do it, you know. But I have to say, Jamie Bird was trying to be very, very adventurous with a move into Canada Corner. Unfortunately for the number 39, did not quite work out. He's still running. Meanwhile, Simon Edwards, despite having a nearly 3.5 second advantage, we're about to complete lap 4 out of 7 very shortly. Simon Edwards has gone on a binge of speed as he normally does, 1:59.731, fastest lap of this race. But now Luke Crowley is giving chase to Seth Brown, so could the boot be on the other foot as they come out of turn number 14? And then it's up the gears, up to 6th gear, full throttle, over the crest. And yeah, that slipstream is starting to get into effect here for Crowley as he closes into Brown. He's going to pull to the outside. This could be very, very tetchy heading into turn 1. If he was a little bit closer behind Seth Brown heading into T1, then I think Luke Crowley would have had the run on him. But good thing is that Phil Glover is keeping pace with them. And all 3 of them have just broken under the 2-minute barrier, including Phil, who did a 1:59.988, still holds on strongly to that 4th position, but is holding back a little bit. I think that's a good strategy call, as down the Moraine sweep we go in towards the 90 left here at turn 5. Crowley was thinking of possibly sticking his nose up the inside of Seth Brown. They both kick up the dust coming out of T5. But I think, like I was saying, Phil's doing a pretty good strategy here. He might be 1.1 seconds behind Luke Crowley here, Jim, but sometimes playing it safe can actually help you out when 2 drivers are fiercely battling. Right, so we are fast approaching 2 laps remaining on the counter as Simon Edwards is on the home stretch and about to cross the stripe here for the completion of lap 5 out of 7. Seth Brown and Luke Crowley still embroiled in this battle over P2. Phil Glover now nearly 1.5 seconds back from the number 36 in 3rd place, rounding out your top 4, Graham Matthew and Jamie Bird. Rounding out the 6 strong as 2nd and 3rd go harrowing their way at over 100 miles an hour through into turn 1, and it's over the crest down the dip here into turn 3. And Luke looks rather racy behind Seth at the moment as they come out of turn 3, go down underneath the bridge over the Moraine Sweep, and then once again the run down to turn 5. Luke really needs to be on the rear wing of Seth Brown if he's going to try and effect any kind of manoeuvre here into turn 5. Very difficult place to overtake. I've seen people do it in Mazda MX-5s around the outside, up the inside. So it's the thing is that the only chance, bit of a wiggle there coming out of turn 7. That was nearly a code brown and clean up on R3 for Seth Brown. He would have had to have checked his underpants after this race following that one, because that could have been a very nasty over rotation for the chap in 2nd position as they come through the carousel once again. So yeah, been a pretty solid race here for Simon Edwards, the man who's I think now won 9 titles in Radical Race Series competition. So you know what, he might have won the most amount of titles, but you could still try and get a couple of tidbits of information out of him from time to time as they go through Canada Corner out of turn 12, and then it's the run through to 13 and 14. So next time around, well, we will start what will effectively be the white flag lap, and Barney the flag marshal should be standing by. Simon Edwards over the crest, and once again Crowley and Brown. It's the white flag this time. One more lap here at Road America at the America's National Park of Speed, with speeds over 170 miles an hour. There's Barney waving away just on the gantry, saying the welcome race fans signage along with the official emblem of Road America. Crowley really menacing Brown as they go into turn 3 for the final tour, and Brown's just got to keep it, cross the T's, dot the I's, but Crowley here, Jim, is swarming all over him like a bad rash. Oh! Oh! He's still got it! He's still got it! Luke Crowley, as one of my friends in karting would say, he's just done the old Slim Shady round the outside of him. That was, you know what, I thought Luke might go a bit brave and bold on that one, and I'm sure Seth will probably see, he might have the red mist firing up behind those eyeballs of his, but he might just say, you know what, actually, shout out to you for pulling that move off. So Luke Crowley on the final lap at turn 5 after the negotiation through the Moraine Sweep goes round the outside of Seth Brown. The pair have a little bit of contact, but as they say, rubbing's racing, but Brown is not letting him go quite yet. They're heading down to Canada Corner. Brown's going to try and look to the inside line for the final time, and Crowley still keeps it pinned round the outside. Brown's got one more opportunity, and that is down the home stretch, down towards the start-finish line, as Simon Edwards is already making his way towards the checkered flag. Here at Race 1, Round 2, Season 2 for 2025. Edwards picks up the W. Second, it could be close, but it's going to be Crowley. Crowley's going to have it by over half a second. Luke Crowley takes P2. Seth Brown third. Phil Glover takes P4. Just got a couple more drivers to wait for. Graham Matthew comes across the line in P3, and well, Jamie Bird, it would have been the coulda, shoulda, woulda race for the number 39, but he's going to make his way out of the 14th and final corner and power across the start-finish line. Jamie Bird will take home points in 6th place, and more importantly, will start on our feature race 12 laps, he'll be starting on the reverse grid pole position. But, Jim, what a way to kick off the night. I know, and there's going to be a couple of minutes warm-up whilst we gather our commentary box. So a big thank you all to watching on the JP Broadcasting Network. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There's plenty of racing action coming up later on this week in the schedule, which I'll go through before we close out the show here tonight at JP Broadcasting. But of course, you can also follow us on all the relevant socials. If you are in the UK, you are in Ireland, you are on iRacing, you've got access to a Radical SR10. Well, what you can do is maybe try and get yourselves involved by heading to their official website, radicalraceseries.co.uk. That's your place, point of entry, UK and Ireland only, I'm afraid. Just because of the nature of the series, it's people who are based normally in the United Kingdom and Ireland. But, well, there's one man who I definitely know will be chomping at the bit, Jamie Bird, who has shown great prowess in the SR10s and also in the JPB SR8 Championship that we do also host ourselves. But you know, Phil Glover. Now look at this. Well, I would say probably we've only got 20 seconds of warm up before we go to the grid for race 2. So if we had 5 minutes, Jim, I'd probably say yes, but I'd rather him concentrate on what he's got to do. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. I definitely would be interested, but your grid is as follows. Jamie Bird will start from reverse grid pole position, Graham Matthew alongside on the front row. Then it's Phil Glover, Seth Brown, Luke Crowley, and Simon Edwards. That is your grid. It's the feature race. It's 12 laps of the 4.048 mile, 14 turn circuit, simply known as America's National Park of Speed. It's hosted so many competitive races, of course. One of the regulars here will be the NTT IndyCar Series as the drivers are lined up and ready and the lights are out already. And what's a start from Phil Glover? Graham Matthew. Oh, it's nearly 4 wide as we're going down the front straightaway in towards T1. Is Phil Glover going to get a number done on Luke Crowley, or is Seth Brown going to try and pin it up the inside? Well, Phil Glover has just answered that question through turn 1. What's going to happen through turn 3? Phil decides disgrace is the better part of Valor and stays behind Luke Crowley. However, Simon Edwards is looking rather racy as always. Seth Brown now looking up the inside of Phil as they head down in towards the 90 left here at turn 5. Brown looking to the inside, Glover to the outside, keeping it wide but not too wide. Now into the left here at 6 before the quick right-hander here at 7. Brown gets through. Oh, what a tag between Glover and Edwards. And Glover gets spun around ever so slightly. And Phil has dropped to the tail end Charlie of the field. That is a real shame. But that, in some respects, I would probably consider a slight racing incident there, Jim. It was Phil just trying to cover off Simon, and they made a little bit of rubbing, and that was all she wrote. So let's have a look at the helicam. So Seth gets through. So you can see that Simon's trying to park it on that apex through turn 5, and bang, that's where the contact happens through at 6. Phil completely sideways, locks up the brakes, not to try and stop the car from over-rotating, but then Graham Matthew pulls to the right. Phil keeps it pointing on the tarmac and recovers, but it's only 2 seconds behind 5th position. So a good save there from Phil Glover. Exactly. Phil learning all the time, but side by side between the leaders into turn 1. Luke Crowley with an absolute textbook move at the apex of T1. Gets through on Jamie Bird. Now takes the lead on the beginning part of lap 2 out of 12 here at Road America. For those wondering about the calendar, we've got Motorsport Park, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park next week. Then Suzuka at the Grand Prix Circuit week 5 Mugello, week 6 Road Atlanta, Phillip Island week 7, Alton Park into. Oh, now that was before turn 5, and it was a repeat of Canada Corner, wasn't it, from the previous race? So, yeah, Jamie. I know. I definitely would like to see a replay of that. Here we go, Helicam. Oh yeah, well he just didn't. I don't think he even hit the brakes. Oh dear. And in the meantime, through turn 6, as we've just seen through the Helicam shot on the replay, Simon Edwards gets through on Seth Brown for P2. So Simon aiming to do what we would call in the UK a top gear from the rear, starting stone dead last and gunning for first place, which would mean 2 wins for the multi-time Radical Race Series champion. 9 to his tally, I think, at the moment now, as he hurtles it through turn number 13 as they go into the final corner. We're about to complete lap 2 out of 12, so that'll be 1/6 distance. So just over about 8.1 miles completed. Seth Brown trying to stay in the tow of Simon Edwards, but the gap between first and second is about 6/10, 1:59.788 by Luke Crowley. But new fastest lap of the race so far, 1:59.238. That is a big amount of time, 5.5 tenths of a second that Simon Edwards has just taken out of Luke Crowley on 1 lap. That's how much, when you have that amount of Radical Race Series titles to your name, that people know that you're not here to make up the numbers. You are here to race, but you're here to race hard and to race fair at the same time. Wouldn't you agree, Jim? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what was it when I was with James a couple of times in the booth a couple of seasons ago, and I said to him, "Come on, Simon, there's got to be more tricks in your magician's hat. That's probably got more rabbits than I can shake a stick at." But he always goes, "Well, I just know what I'm doing," and it's sort of like, I keep on thinking, hang on, is he going to become the Radical Race Series Kimi Raikkonen? Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing, Lotus 2012. And then all of a sudden, Kimi goes off of the escape road in Interlagos by mistake. A few Grand Prix later, but Simon, no matter, is keeping things a little bit calmer. Of course, this is a feature race, folks. So tyre degradation, fuel strategy, how you play the game is very, very different to an outright sprint race, as we ride on board with the number 52. So they will cross the line now, and another new fastest lap. That's a 59.2 from Edwards, 59.39 from Crowley. Brown a 59.28, Bird a 59.67, Phil Glover a 2:02.5, and Graham Matthew a 2:02.7. So, but Yeah, I would imagine probably his tyres are flat spotted like a good. But meantime, down the moraine sweep into turn 5 here on lap number 4. Simon Edwards now takes the race lead from Luke Crowley. However, Crowley carried that momentum by sweeping wide through turn 5 into 6, then quickly into the left-hander at 7. That brings us into the hurry downs that leads down into turns 8, 9 and 10, affectionately known as the carousel. Brown again looking and he's swarming all over the rear wing of Luke Crowley like he was in race number 1 earlier on tonight, and that gap is about 2 car lengths between the pair, equating to about 0.3 of a second. But Simon Edwards started down in last position as a result of the full reverse grid following on from the race results from race 1, the 7-lap sprint. But you can just see the commitment by Luke Crowley. I mean, the amount of slight steering wheel corrections, even though this is an aero-dependent car here, Jim, you've still got to be very, very precise with your inputs. And well, he's doing a sterling job at the moment. We are now on to lap 5 out of 12 and into turn 1. That was the closest that Luke Crowley's been for a little while now. And I do like the little, have you noticed what he's got on the top of the, on the top of the dash? Yeah. As always do. Well, me. Mm. Yep. Yeah. Well, in the meantime, whilst we're concentrating on Simon Edwards and Luke Crowley, Jamie Bird has just got past Seth Brown for 3rd place. And they were literally side by side down the front stretch. And now Brown is closing in on Bird. Now this is the run down the moraine sweep. So what is Brown going to do? He's going to put the car to the right-hand side. So that's going to give less opportunity for Jamie Bird to close off the racing line down into this 90 left, but Bird keeps it nicely pinned. This time hits his brake markers, runs it a little bit wide, but that allows Seth Brown to get the overrun through in towards 6, but Bird was still there, still able to cut off the nose. So we've got 2 great battles here. One between Simon Edwards and Luke Crowley for the lead of the race, and here is the battle for P3, Jamie Bird versus Seth Brown. Phil Glover's about 7 seconds off this battle, and then a further 2.25 seconds adrift is Graham Matthew down in 6, but Seth Brown just giving Jamie Bird every single bit of pressure that he can muster at him through the carousel. Now it's going to be the right-hander here at the kink, and Brown is going to look to the inside line. Is he going to chance it? He is. They're going to be wheel to wheel through around the outside. Again goes Bird through for third place. Now into Canada corner. So you want to make sure that you actually nail the apex here, as we saw in race 1, Jamie Bird on, I think it was lap 2 out of 7, went straight on and through the kitty litter, managed to escape the barriers, the harm of the barriers on the extreme left. But a good bit of defending there from Jamie Bird, from Seth Brown, and they resume their battle here for P3 and P4 as our leaders now bring us on to half time. So 6 laps done, 6 laps down. Yep, so there's the battle for first and second. Simon Edwards and Luke Crowley both running really, really consistently. Luke Crowley's just put in his fastest lap of the race, a 1:59.275. Last time around, well, was nearly 0.2 of a second quicker than Simon Edwards, and Crowley looked to the outside through into turn 5, had to think discretion was the better part of valor, back out of it, stay behind Edwards. Now through into 6, into the right at 7. They will now go through in towards the hurry down. So Luke Crowley started alongside Simon Edwards on the back row of the grid. So started 5th, now running P2. Might want to try and see if he can in the next 5.5 laps have something maybe magical to share with us, like he did with that round the outside move of Seth Brown on the last lap at turn 5. Sing what? Round the outside, round the outside. There we go. The old Slim Shady. Now, I used to do that quite a lot when I first started using it as part of my commentary arsenal and karting, and then people started getting fed up with it and told me, just say Slim Shady all round the outside. You only need to say it once. And I went, well, are you the person that's up there doing 37 plus races on a weekend of commentary? No. I said, well, you know how to drive. I won't tell you how to suck eggs, so don't tell me to do the same. So yeah, I use either Slim Shady or round the outside. But there's one phrase that I do really like. But however, look at Luke Crowley, a 10.5 behind Simon Edwards, going into turn 1 here on lap number 8. So we've got 5 to go, including this one. And more to the point, Luke is giving Simon something to think about. Yep, that's Brown towards the inside of Bird, through into turn 5. Bird still kept it round the outside. Brave set of cojones on the number 39 of Jamie Bird, saying to Seth Brown, thou shalt not pass, in no uncertain terms through turn 5. Incredible precision there from Jamie Bird. He's making amends for the 2 faux pas that he's done in both races tonight, and is still keeping Seth Brown at bay for that final step on the virtual rostrum. We are coming up to 4 laps to go very shortly, Jim, and these 2 battles have been very, very interesting over the course of the past, let's say, close to 8 laps, as we'll have 4 to go to the checkered after this one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to do the old NASCAR bump draft technique down the start-finish stretch very shortly. And I'm sure that if we are still in this position with the white flag out on lap 12 out of 12, I'm sure that Luke Crowley's going to give it more than everything he'll give it 11 tenths and then some as they come down the Moraine sweep. It's the run down to T5 once again. Crowley to the outside. What's he going to plan this time? He decides, can he go for the switchback here on Simon Edwards? He's going to get the better momentum carry coming out of the corner, but has to slightly dart and weave a little bit, not to hit the tail of Simon Edwards, because what he doesn't want to do, well, he wants to do the move cleanly. That's the main thing here, Jim, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, I think it also depends on whether it's a track that drivers like, as into Canada Corner, Simon Edwards making that radical SR10 as wide as humanly possible through, of all places, Canada Corner, as Luke Crowley still gathering it up. He's going to be about 2 and a bit tenths behind, so make that just over 3 tenths as they come out of the final corner. So we're going to go on to lap 10 out of 12, 3 to go. And Crowley is definitely chomping at the bit. We cross the stripe. Crowley to the outside at over 160 miles an hour in 6th gear. Foot flat to the floor. Now onto the brakes. Through 4th gear, turn 1, 105 miles an hour. And again, well, yeah, I mean, it's, as I said earlier, there are even tracks that are not to Simon Edwards' liking. But what Simon is doing... oh, well, I'm not too sure if anyone might be able to... Paul LeMay joins us in the chat. So I'm not too sure if they can hear you, Jim, but I'll just double check on that for a second. But Luke Crowley swarming all over the back of Simon Edwards once again into turn 6, now into turn 7. And more to the point, well, Luke Crowley has not been any further behind Simon Edwards, I think pretty much for most of the race, by about half a second, if that. I think it's probably been no more than about what we've got now, 4 tenths going into turn 8 and 9 through at the carousel. You can still see that 80% throttle through that corner. That is incredible. And then they're able to accelerate coming out of turn 10 at full throttle at 125 miles an hour. Now through the kink, they're nearly at full speed. 160 miles an hour down through Kettle Bottoms, 164 indicated on Crowley's speedometer. Now it's hard on the brakes, down to 3rd, 80 miles an hour at Canada Corner. Then it's the run through into 13 and 14. So after this, we're going to have 2 to go. Edwards and Crowley intertwined into battle for the race lead and ultimately the feature race win. Bird and Brown still battling away over P3. They're just coming out of turn 14 as we speak. And there they are. Brown, however, is within half a car length. He's going to pull out of the slipstream early. Down the front stretch they go. It's wheel to wheel. It's like Senna and Mansell back in 91. For the briefest of moments, Brown will have the inside line into turn 1. But what is Bird going to do? He's going to fly it round to the outside.
Dude, he drove
Mamma
it
mia.
in there. Holy cow. He drove that car in there. Wow. I'm shocked that he got that car slowed up.
Astounding by Jamie Bird. That is the move of the night. Move of the night by the number 39. But Seth Brown is fractionally ahead on the run down the Moraine sweep. Is he going to do the Slim Shady round the outside through at turn 5? No, Bird says you can't do that on me, sunshine. Not on this particular occasion. But wow.
Look at that real quick. Oh, wrong one. What? Not that one.
No,
that was a lap before, a few laps before.
Yep.
There we go. Let's try this one. Nope. That's not the right one either. That was the one that just happened.
Yep, that was the one that just happened, but still, it's 2 tenths between them at the moment. But at the this is the move, right? So round the outside, Slim Shady special Jamie Bird gets the job done on Seth Brown. He thought, I've got him. I don't got him. And Jamie Bird just went, well, there you go. But next time around, it's going to be the white flag lap. Seth Brown on the run through Kettle Bottoms into Canada Corner. Lines up behind Jamie Bird, Simon Edwards and Luke Crowley heading their way into the 14th and final corner. White flag out this time, and it's going to be the run to the checkered. Crowley to the left-hand side of the start-finish straight. Edwards to the right-hand side to defend that inside line. As we now go white flag lap here at Road America for the final time here for round 2 out of week 12. And now, well, Edwards still had the nerve to keep that car pinned to the right-hand side, keep the inside racing line. And Crowley is still chomping at the bit. He'll have 1, maybe 2 more opportunities if he can do that high wide round the outside at turn 5. But now Brown is looking up the inside. This is at turn number 3. Through the Marine Sweep they will go underneath the Toronto Cheese Bridge for the final time. Brown and Bird wheel to wheel through 4. And it's Bird ahead by about half a car length. Into the braking zone they go. Brown switches to the inside. Dive bombs late. And he can't get it stopped. Bird retakes 3rd position. I think that's possibly decided.
Yeah, that might
3rd place. More than likely. Seth Brown tried the old switchback, did the old Nigel Mansell dummy, but it did not work out. However, Crowley is within 0.2 of a second. They're coming out of Carousel at 9 and 10 for the final time. Crowley will have to put it all on the line, put pedal to metal, coming out of turn number 14, unless he decides there's another opportunity. He might be able to dive bomb through Canada Corner, but he's got to nail it. Now he's going to the outside. That's unconventional through this part of the Kettle Bottoms, and Crowley is literally wheel to wheel through Canada Corner. 2 turns remain here on the feature race for week 2 out of 12. And Crowley, I think he might have just lost that little bit much of momentum for him to get the opportunity for the race win. But through to the final corner, he's nearly bumper to bumper. He's right on the exhaust pipe of Simon Edwards. Up the hill for the final time. It's going to be a run to the line here. Who's going to get it? Will it be Edwards? It's going to be Edwards by a whisker. Edwards takes the double tonight in Road America. By 0.134 of a second, Luke Crowley and Jamie Bird round out your provisional top 3. Oh my goodness, someone give me my tablets, a bed and a dark room to lay in. That was absolutely fantastic racing for 12 laps. Edwards takes the win, Crowley right up his rear until the checkered for all 12 laps. Bird and Brown separated by 0.4. Glover and Matthew round out the finishing order. But I think in the words of Austin Powers, I'm completely spent, Jim Cunningham.
That was I literally found myself 2 or 3 times there holding my breath. It was that exciting. I'm like, you got to breathe. Really?
I've just been able to take a nice couple of deep intakes of breath after that because that was crazy.
That was entertaining.
Crazy.
I tell you what, I guarantee you I've never seen a 6-lap race that was more exciting than that. I mean, a 6-car race that was more exciting than that. That was unbelievable.
And it all happened courtesy of this round of the Radical Race Series. Week 2 is in the book, so Simon Edwards takes the double home tonight, but we've got Canadian Tire Motorsport Park on April 3rd in a week's time, at the regular time here at 9 p.m. UK time. Well, it'll be British summer time because we'll be an hour. Well, our clocks move forward an hour here in the United Kingdom, as do continental Europe. But we've got a couple of people waiting in the interview waiting room. Let's bring in Luke Crowley. I want to have a chat with him.
Yeah,
Luke, good evening.
Hello.
Well, all I can say is, myself and Jim, we have never seen someone put Simon Edwards under that significant amount of pressure for, what was it? That was pretty much most of the 12 laps in that feature race, but it was so close, mate. You nearly had him.
Yeah, I was giving it a good go. he was wobbling a bit towards the end. He was making a couple of mistakes, so a couple more laps, and I might have had him.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to save it to the end though, because otherwise we'd have just been trading positions the whole race. But yeah, I was planning, and I was just like poking and prodding for a bit. But no, it was good fun. Good fun.
Yeah,
I'm a
I saw.
believer again. You know that.
Never lose faith, Jim. Never
That's
lose
right.
faith.
No, I'm a believer, man. You know that. That was honestly, that's one of the best drives I've seen you have. I've never seen anybody stick with Simon like that. Whether maybe this isn't his favorite track or whatever. Dude, you ran him hard and clean. That's tough to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not one of his favorites, it's certainly one of mine. So it's obviously swung in my favor a little bit. I do like Road America. I always have. I think it's a great track. It's a great place to overtake. It's good fun. It's always tactical.
But also it gives you. I mean, even though yes, we've had 6 cars on the grid tonight, but the quality makes up for the quantity in some respects. That's what we've seen tonight here for both race 1 and race 2, and also for yourself. That's a good haul of points as well. 2 second-place finishes here tonight at Road America. Probably put you in a good frame of mind for Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for next week, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about the points, isn't it? But it's also about having fun, and good racing is what it's all about, isn't it? So.
Indeed. Well, well done on the 2 second-place finishes tonight, Luke. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening, buddy?
Hey, just a shout out to everybody that's here. Simon, Phil, Seth, Jamie, and who else was here? Was it Graham?
Graham, yeah.
Graham. Yeah,
Graham's here as well, yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to everyone that's turning up, and a few of the other guys as well. Anybody that wants to come along as well, it's great. It's great racing. Absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant. Luke, thanks for chatting to us, buddy. And I'm a believer as well. We'll see you next week for week 3 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and hopefully you can get that W over Simon at one point.
I mean, Canadian Tire is not one of my favorites, so you might see me shrink back a little bit for this one. But
I was waiting for that.
Yeah,
I was because last season James hates that track, right? And so, like last year when we did the interviews going into that race last season, every single driver we talked to said they hated that track. And it's interesting. I don't know why. I mean, but nobody likes it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. It's not great. But I'll be back at the pointy end when we get to Gilles Villeneuve. That's one of my favorites as well. I'll be up there then. So,
brilliant. Well, cheers for jumping in. Yeah, cheers for jumping in for a chat, Luke, and well done on the 2 second-place finishes. And we'll see you next week on our first trip to Canada. Unfortunately, it's not Montreal.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Luke. Thanks a lot, buddy. So big thank you there to Luke. We'll drop him down into the interview waiting room. Let's have a quick chat with Mr. Positivity of Radical Race Series. Let's bring the man in. Let's bring in Phil Glover. Phil, good evening, mate. How are you?
No, I'm not too bad at all. A little while since we spoke. You okay?
I know, yeah, not too bad. Well, it's even though we've only got 6 people on the grid, yourself included, we always know that you're Mr. Positivity when it comes to the Radical Race Series. Always someone who loves his VR and his full motion rig. How was it for you tonight? Obviously, there was an unfortunate incident between you and Simon battling for P3 in race 2 going into turn 5. Just explain what happened from your aspect.
Yeah, I think, well, because I'm in VR, it's often quite difficult to see periphery vision. I think Simon was right on the tail of Seth from what he's told me, and I don't think I saw him, although I knew everybody was close by, so probably it's not my fault.
But still, nevertheless, I have to give you a bit of kudos, mate, because we had Luke and Seth battling over second place in race 1, and I think for at least over half the race, you were keeping pace with them. You were lapping probably within, I think, 1/10.5 to 3/10 of a second behind them for about 3 laps before you started dropping off a little bit, going towards the end of the race. That must have felt pretty good when you saw those 2 battling front, saying, "Oh, maybe I could have a podium here."
Yeah, even more so because I'd actually put the wrong setup in. I put the race because we called it R1. I don't know, my brain saw the one and I clicked on that. So I ran 34 litres of fuel in the first race, which obviously
Wow.
didn't help. So I was quite impressed with it, when I realised that. Well, I was annoyed, but then impressed.
Bill,
Um,
Bill, it's Jim
yeah.
Cunningham. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, Jim. I'm all right, thanks. You?
So, that may be a sign. Maybe you like, maybe you like the way that car drives when it's heavier with fuel.
Yeah.
Um,
So
it
that is a
handles.
common theme that I have conversations with Simon. I often don't use a qualifying setup. I often use the sprint setup because it's got a little bit more fuel in it, and that weight just gives me a bit more traction
Yeah,
on the
no,
rear end.
that makes sense. Sure, but
Um,
you did have
obviously,
a
I
good.
lose a bit of time
No,
on acceleration, but I tend to be a little bit more stable.
no, I think stability is what you need anyway. I mean, that little bit of speed that you're losing, you can make up for with draft and things like that. But you had a really good run in race one, and like I said, unfortunately, you had that little mishap early on. I'm sure you probably suffered a little bit of damage from that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look back. When it first happened, I thought I had, but maybe that's because I ended up with tyres being a bit cooler,
Sure.
and it was only, was it the first lap or second lap? So everything was a little bit cooler anyway, I think.
Well, who you?
So, but my times later on were okay, so I'm not sure I got damage.
Yeah, but good run though early on, man, and it's good to talk to you. You have anybody you want to shout out to while we got you on here?
Well, you guys, as always, really appreciate you commentating. It's a real shame we can't get more on the grid at the moment, isn't it? But let's hope that changes somehow. So yeah, big shout out to everybody who made it tonight. Really.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Phil, thank you for joining us as always, mate, and we look forward to catching up with you next week for round 3 at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Okay, I like that track. Yeah, so that's I'm looking forward to that one as well. It's a relatively shortish one, but I seem to get on okay with that one.
Brilliant. Phil, we'll let you get on to enjoy the rest of your evening, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you, my good man.
Yeah, take care both. See you later. Bye.
Right, a big thank you there to Phil Glover. Let's bring in Seth Brown, who's definitely been keeping our eyeballs on store tonight. Seth, good evening. Welcome into the post-race interview show. How are you doing?
Good evening, guys. Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah. How are you?
All good. You definitely kept us on the edge of our seats tonight, good sir. Especially with your last-ditch attempt trying to go through on Jamie, battling for P3. And I kind of called it. It was a bit like the old Nigel Mansell dummy, shimmy to the right, shimmy to the left, dived up the inside, but it's quite difficult going through turn 5. I mean, it's an overtaking opportunity, but you tried, but it just didn't quite work out. Just talk us through what happened from your perspective on that move, because it was so close between you two all through the race, all
Yeah,
through that feature race, mate.
yeah, totally. I mean, all credit to Jamie. He was super late on the brakes, and I couldn't outbrake him. And I every time I tried to, I just hit the brakes a little bit too hard and kind of locked the fronts and lost it a little bit. And I was kind of halfway through the race, I was sort of thinking, I'm just going to pass him eventually, so I'm just going to take it easy. And then towards
Yep.
the end of the race, I'm like, actually, I'm not. And then I tried, and then I was like, oh, I'm running out of laps. And then he stayed ahead. So yeah, I feel a bit of a fool for kind of just playing it cool for a bit. But I was having fun. I thought, as I was racing, I was thinking, I hope this is giving somebody a show.
It was.
Oh, it's definitely giving us a show. I mean, like the 2 races tonight, even though we've had 6 people for both races, I think it's some of the closest racing that I think we've ever witnessed here on JPB for Radical Race Series. and at a track where, okay, from let's say turn 3, overtaking is at a premium, let's say, but when you get through the final corner at turn 14, you go over that crest, you've got that very long start finish straight, and that brings me on to another moment where you thought, where we saw you pull out of the slipstream early, coming out of the final corner, going onto the white flag lap in the feature race. And I was like thinking, he's catching him, he's got past him. And then JB just went, hold my beer, and threw it around the outside, did the old Slim Shady. And I was like, Seth's got him. No, he hasn't. Like,
No.
it was just like, where on earth did. Now,
I mean,
obviously, yeah, the when he put it around the outside and literally cut your nose off going through towards turn 2 and 3.
yep, that was it. I was kind of like, yeah, got this, and then I was like, oh wait a minute, he's still here, and he was super late braking, but he was keeping the power on around the outside, and just like fair play to him. That takes some nerve. So, yeah, yeah, I lost out to that.
But still, you got.
You were
Yeah, go on,
involved.
Jim.
You were involved in the one of the move of the race, probably. Unfortunately, you were on the bad end of it. But that was, that move he put on you is. I mean, that was so impressive. There was no way I thought he was holding that car on the track right there. I was shocked when he did.
Yeah. No, I have to give him total props. He was on fire with his, consistency, because I think that's one of the things that he's struggled with a little bit in the past is consistency. Yeah, but no way tonight. He was kind of rock solid, and it paid off, right?
Yeah, well, apart from a couple of faux pas that Jamie had, I mean, trying to go around the outside, trying to dive bomb. I think he dive bombed you at Canada Corner in race 1, and then went exit stage left right through the kitty litter and dropped to the pretty much the back of the field, and then he had another moment, actually, which is funny enough. It was at turn 5. He just completely went way too deep. I think he was on the outside. So, despite the fact of his consistency is improving, there's still a couple of errors that we all know that as soon as Jamie eliminates them, he's going to be pen place driver, in my honest opinion. But I think one of the best things you said, which we've had from everybody tonight so far in the booth, it's been fun tonight here at Road America.
Yep, I certainly enjoyed it. Yeah, I'd love a bigger grid, but honestly, like, as long as you can race with somebody, it's all good.
Well, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go, Seth?
Let's give a shout out to all the people who have once raced in this league and need to get their asses back.
That'd be fighting talk, my friend, as they would say down in the West Country. But thanks for saying that. Like I say, folks, if you do race in a Radical SR10 on iRacing, come and join. Go to radicalraceseries.co.uk. Sign up to the league. There's another 10 weeks of racing still to go. So, Seth, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, mate.
All right, it's a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Yeah, big thank you there to Seth Brown. And, well, last but by certainly no means least, this man needs no introduction. Let's bring in Simon Edwards to the party. Simon, good evening. Congratulations, first of all, on the double victory. But Luke kept you pressed all the way through that feature race, didn't he?
He did. And I thought, is he going to throw it at Canada Corner? Or is he... and then I nearly threw it off the track. I don't know why I went off the track in the second to last corner. I literally just suddenly went straight in the middle of the corner. But it confused him enough to not actually attack me.
Yeah, we found that he lost quite a bit of time. I think he lost the best part of about 3/10. But he definitely gave us as good as he got. I mean, there were times, I think, through the majority, once you two had hit the front, because we nearly saw it 4 wide off of the start on the opening run down to turn 1. And it's not a short run down to turn 1 here at Road America by any stretch of the imagination. But as soon as you guys started to scarper away, it was great to see that we had a battle between you and Luke, and then we also had the battle for P3 between Jamie and Seth, which also went really, really pretty much down to the wire. Is this a track that you do enjoy racing at, or does it sometimes give you a little bit of a headache, Simon?
No, I've always loved this track. Because it's a really early track. It's what I was just saying to Luke there. When it used to have some murder curbs on it, now they're all flat, curbs on them. And it was all the way from the solstice, the solstice days where it would draft down here. Can you imagine how long it took us to get round?
Oh dear!
But
I
yeah,
dread to think.
I loved it since it's been released. Really, in anything, because I've always loved a draft battle because it's all tactics, and yeah.
That's true. Jim, have you got any questions for Simon this evening?
No, I not really. I just congratulations again, buddy. You it was fun to watch you have to really race tonight, if that makes sense. So many of these races you tend to get away, and you're just so smooth and fast that you don't get a lot of challenges. You do coming through the field, but once you get to the front, it's usually not a battle for you. And it was fun to watch you have to race hard up there tonight. Props to you and to Luke for making that really super exciting.
Yeah, thank you. I gave my setup out as well, so nobody's got an excuse that I had a better setup.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, Simon, thanks so much for joining us, buddy. Thoughts ahead of Canadian Motorsports Park next week?
It's really annoying for me, but I can't make it next week.
Oh,
But,
no.
Oh,
There we go.
Because you weren't able to make it to Nürburgring for the season opener last week as well, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I forgot why I couldn't. Oh no, I was practicing for Sebring and I'd hurt my wrist as well, so I was protecting my wrist. So I didn't want to over practice before I did Sebring.
No,
and I don't like the track, so there's more than one reason.
Okay, fair enough. But anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight before we let you go, buddy?
I want to give a shout out to all the missing people to come next week because it's a fantastic track. So and I won't be there, so you're all gonna win. So
George Gonzaga, your name's being called out right now, amongst others.
Yes.
But Simon, well done on the double victory tonight, buddy, and we look forward to catching up with you later on here in season 2.
Yes.
All right, buddy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, where is the Portuguese man of war?
I don't know, probably missing in action for all I know, but
he's another one that has really progressed in this series.
Oh, he has, yes, for the insert name team as well. But
yeah,
folks,
I love that, right?
Folks, that wraps up our coverage live here on JPB for the Radical Race Series Season 2, 2025, Week 2 at Road America. Next week we head to our first trip to the land of the Maple Leaf, to good old Canada at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Plenty of Virtual World Sports Car Championship of 1985. The late model stock main sim racing series Oxford 250 gets underway on the 29th. Then we've got the FDL Endurance Series for Super Formula Lights returns to Silverstone at 4:45 British summertime on the 30th of March. SP Webb's installation is back at Spa-Francorchamps in association with Jack Ashton. And then, as always, as we like to do to close out every Sunday night, it's IGP Fun Super Formula Lights Season 2, Round 2 at Portimao for 2025. On behalf of Jim Cunningham, my name's Alex Goldschmidt. Thanks so much for watching. This has been a JP Broadcasting Network production. And as I always like to say, race hard, race fair. And if in doubt, well, you better go flat out. We'll see you next time. Good night for now.